Okay, guys, welcome back. It's a draw. Yeah.
What an anticlimax that was.
Yeah, I don't know, but what a game. I mean, I had at the beginning of the game, I had that World Cup feel out.
Yeah, it
you know?
did. Yeah,
and you don't get that very much.
No,
so that's cool.
You don't. I was thinking about it on Saturday night, and I was thinking, if I paid for tickets for that game and it was a World Cup final, I think I'd be a little bit disappointed.
You would, but in a World Cup final they'd have played extra time.
Well, yeah, they would have done.
And why on earth did they not have that in the Lions? And again, when we come on to a later video about how we're going to change or think we should change the Lions in the future, again, that's one sort of thing that's a bit stuck in the past there. Why on earth do they have extra time in the clause?
I think if the series is dead and buried and they draw the final game, there's no need, because the All Blacks have already won that game. It's a deciding game to decide the series.
If the series is on the line, extra time. But that would be an epic extra time.
It would have been. But I think for the series, I think it's a pretty fair result. I think the Lions I think the Lions have played pretty average. I think the All Blacks have actually been a bit undercooked.
The All Blacks have probably been below where they want to be.
Yeah.
To be fair, they've had some big injuries. Ben Smith, they haven't had Coles, they haven't had Sonny Bill. Admittedly, Sonny Bill was his own fault.
Yes.
I mean, I would go differently. I would probably say the All Blacks are more disappointed about losing this, because I think they had the edge, actually.
Yeah.
I think they had the edge. In that last game, 15 against 15, they scored 2 fantastic tries to Lions 0.
Yeah.
I think the Lions did actually play really well overall for a scratch team. But I would differ and say the All Blacks would probably be slightly more disappointed with the draw than the Lions.
I mean, I think you look at the result of the game, and actually, I think if the All Blacks have been clinical and taken their opportunities, that's a 30-point gap.
Well,
at the end of the game, I think they'd have scored. Surveyor would have scored in the corner.
Right,
Barrett would have got
right at the beginning. Right at the beginning. This is the thing. Out in press conferences, coaches have to say, "Oh, it didn't change the game." These things do change the game. Severe, I think, should have caught that ball. Comment if you think it was a hard ball to take, and he scores in the corner. I was convinced he was going to score.
Yeah,
big let off.
Yeah, huge.
You know, and in the press conferences again, it's the Lions who are happier. In the post-match interviews with Warburton, he is happier than Reid. And I think that is the answer right there over who is more content with the draw.
Yeah. I mean, it just shows as well how errors can really impact a game. And you look at the Lions in the first test, actually were very competitive for probably 60% of that. But handling errors just kept the New Zealanders in the game. I don't want to overanalyse this game because it's like a final, but I think the Lions did actually force New Zealand to go through the middle a bit more. And then they stuffed up their passes a bit sometimes. I think that was actually quite clever. They were looking for the over-the-top or the long pass, and it wasn't really there, so they went themselves. Barrett went himself, and the Lions managed to gobble them up a bit and force an error. Talking of errors, Farrell had a mixed game. Crikey. I was thinking 20 minutes in.
Get him off.
Take him off.
I know.
So I was thinking, you've got TL on the bench, he's having a shocker, get him off.
If Farrell made 4 unbelievable errors in a row, I could not believe it.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic for him, actually.
I know. And the Lions had forced turnovers under Toje, Vunipola, Warburton, had forced these awesome turnovers in defence. And then Farrell kicks it out on the full, charge down, he gives that interception to Barrett, who nearly scores. I mean, he was killing us.
I was thinking,
he was killing us.
Get him off. Just get him off. But
if it was
held his nerve.
If it was later in the game, I think he'd have been off. But
held his nerve with the boot at the end.
Made up for it.
It shows that actually, even though he's not playing very well, he's still that big game player.
No, I mean, he made up for it. His goal kicking was sublime.
Oh yeah.
And let's talk about Daly. I mean, being wheeled up for that 55-metre kick. He probably only had 1 in the game. To nail it was epic.
Oh, so good. But it throws that question as well as why he hasn't stepped up before this game. He's only had 1 other attempt in the series, in the 3 tests.
Has there been an opportunity for a long-range kick?
I would say there has been.
I haven't really noticed.
I think if you, well, comment below and see what you think as well. But I think they've missed maybe 2 or 3 during the actual test games.
I had
to add those 3 over, but I mean it makes no difference. What a kick!
Again, they asked Hansen, did goal kicking make a difference? And he goes diplomatic and no, but it did.
It did.
It did. And I didn't understand why they carried on with Beauden Barrett kicking in this test.
I mean, you can see from the first kick of the game that he's not connected very well, and you'd go, okay, he's missed the first one, get Geordie in. That's why we picked him. I
wouldn't even have started him kicking. I'd have had Geordie kicking absolutely from the beginning. Yeah. In the last test, Beauden Barrett's kicking was awful.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Steve Hansen in the press conference admitted he is working through a big technical problem. Okay, fine. Yeah. Geordie Barrett's in, let him kick, let Beauden do his stuff. So I'm afraid an All Blacks management error there.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Let's talk some other things that came up. Kano, yellow card. What do you think?
I don't think the Lions capitalised on it. I mean, they did. They got 3 points, but they actually played quite well. I mean, the All Blacks were immense during that 10-minute period. Defensively, really good. Going forwards. But I think the Lions could have been that little bit more... Got to throw the ball around a bit more, really test the numbers. I
mean, I think that some of the errors for the Lions, for me, if I was to generalise, came from further out. So let's say they had a great set-piece chance and Jamie George throws not straight twice, I think.
Yes, yeah.
They're massive errors, completely unlike what he's been like this tour.
Yeah.
That was huge. I mean, the All Blacks dropped a few in midfield. The Lions didn't capitalise on their set-piece,
exactly.
I think. I actually thought, when Kano got the yellow card, I thought he was a bit unlucky. Because if I was an All Blacks fan, I'd be like, really? But the laws are at the moment, anything connecting with the head is, a yellow card because they want to cut it out of the game. But still,
it's a tough call. But you've got, unfortunately, those rules of the game are there. I mean, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on which side you sit. I think player safety. You've got to have it in there. Really.
A couple of years ago, that'd just been a penalty. That's the thing. That's why initially I thought, oh, penalty, okay, fine. And then watching it again, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the head.
That's head.
Could be a yellow. So
yeah, exactly.
A little unlucky, but that's the game at the moment.
Yeah.
And just throughout the game, actually. If I was to try and stay unbiased, which is hard in these series, the Lions felt offside a lot to me. I was always there going, it could be pinged for offside here, or that line's close.
Yeah.
Especially at the end, they were bowed out and offside a lot, and they weren't pinged. But if you can get away with it, then you do it.
Yeah, and I think that's been a real characteristic of the series, really. It's the line speed from the Lions. It's been pretty epic right the way through the series.
Especially when you start offside, you can really get in their face.
If you can push the boundaries and get away with it, like you said, then why not?
So go on then, we're talking about decisions, let's talk about that penalty at the end. What did you make of that?
I'm in the Kieran Reid camp.
Yeah.
I think that's a penalty. And you've given it as a penalty.
He's given it.
I don't think you can then, well obviously you did reverse it, but I don't think you can reverse that call. You've given the penalty. If you're not sure and you think there's a challenge in the air, TMO it straight away, stop play, TMO, is that challenge in the air?
Yeah.
No. Right, okay, so it's an accidental offside, scrum, All Blacks, for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have given the penalty and then gone, actually, it's a scrum.
The thing is, here's the thing, we'll put the laws on the side here, screenshots, and you can probably tell from that, the reality of it, but if it was any other game, in any other situation, let's say it was a Premiership game in England, that's a penalty.
Yeah.
Player in front catches it, even briefly, let's go, it's a penalty.
Yeah.
And you'll see, does he play the ball deliberately? That's the key thing. Or can he just not get out of the way? If he let it hit him, fine.
Yeah.
But he caught it, and that has to be playing the ball, I think.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because, I mean, like they were saying on commentary, I mean, that is an instinct thing. A ball comes at you, decent height, you do go to catch it.
Still plays it.
But yeah, laws are...
If we were All Blacks fans, I think we'd be fuming here.
Oh, I'd be livid.
And I think that is the answer.
Yeah, I would be livid.
Anyway, All Blacks tries I thought were excellent.
Yeah,
like those two. Well worked, yeah.
I think they've found the weakness in the Lions' defence. I think out wide they just seem to have, especially in that first kind of 20 minutes, they just seem to have numbers on the outside all the time.
Okay.
I think that's quite a clever way of using the decoy runners, the offload game, getting in behind.
If you can get an offload in out of a tackle with a couple of guys on you, it's always going to cause problems.
Yeah,
so exactly. Mape did a big part in both those tries, obviously scored one, and so did Geordie Barrett. So both debutants instrumental in those two tries.
Yeah, definitely.
Shows what a 6'5" fullback can do. Crossfield kicks, their crossfield kicks were awesome anyway.
Yeah.
But now with this guy out wide,
Yeah.
You know, there's an extra tactic.
I thought he had a good game, Jordan Barrett, as well. Considering it's his first start as well, I thought he looked calm, collected.
He got absolutely destroyed by Jonathan Davis twice.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Davis is, we'll go on to it now, my Lions player of the series. Easy.
Yeah, I've gone Itoje for mine.
Go on.
Just because I think Itoje had more of an impact throughout. I mean, when he came off the bench in the first test, he was amazing.
Okay.
And then I think just the amount of ball he's turned over alongside Sam Warburton.
You know, now I would say Davis was more consistent for me.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: Itoje copped a bit of flack. You know, there's such other good YouTube channels out there. I was watching RugbyAnalyst the other day, and they were on Itoje a bit, saying he's a liability, and I understand where that's coming from. So for this game, for him to churn out that sort of impact performance I don't think he gave away a penalty.
No, he didn't.
Correct us if we're wrong. I don't even think he made a mistake. Again, correct us if we're wrong. But I think he had his massive impact and stayed error-free.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big marker to show, I can do this.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, he was impressive. All Blacks player of the series? I've got mine in my head. Who are you going for?
I think I'm going to go Kieran Reid.
That is my player of the series.
I think his performances across the series, you cannot ask anything more from your captain. Especially
coming back from injury, and just on that first test, he was awesome, straight in there.
Yeah, I thought he was superb. I thought he was great. Had a great series, very calm. Yeah. Gave a really honest press conference at the end of the game.
He was gutted. He knew, well, he thought they should have won that game, and he was absolutely gutted, to be honest. Yeah,
exactly.
Even though he had his 100th silver cap on, but still gutted. And through the spine of that All Blacks team, Dane Coles, Retallick, Kieran Reid, Aaron Smith, All-Perenara, Beauden Barrett, and Ben Smith, straight down the middle of that team. You've got that absolute class for me.
And class it's going to be there for a while as well.
Certainly
it's still
a
fairly young side.
Yeah.
I think it was interesting watching the game, and you look at the first test where New Zealand were dominant throughout. The second and third tests, the Lions seem to marshal Brodie Retallick a lot better.
Yeah.
And it seems to be getting Retallick's face, and actually it starts disrupting things around what the All Blacks are trying to do.
I think what the Lions did is they stopped individual players having such a big impact, but because the All Blacks team, their machine, their team, their processes are so good and ingrained, I think it was too much for the Lions in the end.
Yeah.
Although I think, you know, I was so happy with all the Lions' performances, to be honest. There were some errors, but they all stepped up. There were some huge performances in those three series. And I think they should be very proud of themselves. Conducting themselves as Lions, going down to a tour that many said, especially in our comments, was a tour of death. They were going to get 3-0'd. I mean, you know, and they've really stepped up and done better than many, including myself, actually thought. Yeah,
exactly. No, I agree, and I think especially with the tour party that Gatland had selected as well.
Yeah. What we're going to do, guys, we're going to do other videos based on the Lions tour, a debrief of the Lions and the future of the Lions. We'll look at some other things as well. So stay tuned for those videos. Hopefully a few guest appearances as well, which will be exciting. So we've got some other stuff to come. But anyway, comment below on that game, what you thought of it and what we've said there. And until next time, we will see you later.